And joining me now to discuss this is security expert Kabir Adamu. Good to have you join us.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
So before we get into the security meeting, the proposed security meeting that the president will hold with security chiefs tomorrow, let me start by getting your assessment on the security situation in the country. We're getting reports of what's going on in Zamfara State, but we've also seen members of Boko Haram and ISWAP surrendering. So where are we now in terms of the security situation?
One clear development has been an increase in the security force action over the last few months. I think starting from around June, when President Buhari gave the directive for security agencies to increase their action against all the perpetrators of crime and other activities across the country. We saw military raids, we saw police going down to the southeast. And so over this period, we have seen several arrests, we've seen several destruction of these camps where these bandits hide. So there have been some positive developments. However, how sustainable are those positive developments?
And when you also look at the positive developments side by side with the negative developments, we saw the attack on a school in Zamfara State. We've seen this recent abduction and killing of people in Zamfara State. Even in Ondo State, there was an incident there as well. So when you look at that side by side, and when you look at the several meetings that the president has had in recent times with security chiefs, does it look like those meetings are yielding any results?
Yes, and I say this with all sense of responsibility. I run a security consulting outfit, and we keep a database of security incidences. Now, just to put it in context, in June, our database recorded 1,032 deaths. Now, in July, those deaths reduced to 652. So clearly a reduction. But are we there yet? Unfortunately, no. If we have 600 plus persons dying in the country, that's not good enough. So there is progress, but the progress is not good enough. More needs to be done.
And I want to take the statement coming from the president's media and publicity senior assistant, and that's coming from Femi Adesina. He said that the president will be brought up to speed on development at Thursday meeting. The latter part of that statement says, while plans to bring a decisive end to challenges will be formulated. In line with the surrender of several members of ISWAP and Boko Haram, from that meeting, what sort of policies should be formulated to consolidate and on that kind of gain that we've made?
Okay, I'm not sure what the media aid to Mr. President meant by that. The Security Council meeting is the highest echelon, the highest platform for security issues in the country. It is not a place where policies are formulated. It's a place where issues are discussed and then perhaps an evaluation of the efforts by the various contributors to security in the country, what we call security architecture. So I'm really a bit unsure what the media aid meant by that. But having said that,
just to make he didn't call it policy formulation. He talked about a decisive end. I was the one that used the term policy. But what sort of strategy should be formulated?
Well, I'm not expecting strategy at that meeting. What I expect is that they should review developments that have happened over the last few weeks. One of them is the development in Afghanistan. What impact would it have in Nigeria and the Sahel region as a whole? What would be Nigeria's position on that development? I know Mr. President has published an article on Financial Times, which tells us an indication of where he's thinking, what the government's position is on that matter. I also expect them to discuss significant developments in the Lake Chad Basin, including the surrendering of members of the Jamaat al-Ahli al-Dawati wal-Jihad. I also expect them to discuss developments in the southeast, where we've seen of recent progress by the security agencies regarding the Eastern Security Network and IPOP. I also expect them to discuss issues, including, for instance, the judicial processes that has to do with the leadership of the Islamic movement in Nigeria and the indigenous people of Biafra, as well as the collapse of social order the incident that happened in Plateau State when commuters were traveling and they were attacked and killed. These are all significant developments. Now, discussing them along the line of how the security agencies have been approaching them, how the impact of the developments on national unity. Then more importantly, I also expect them to consider the economic circumstances in the country and how that is impacting on security. Several things have happened, including the passage of the PIB, and then of course the inflation. Then the fact that the CBN has opened up the forex market. What impact
So
does that
I
have
just,
on the average Nigerian?
pardon me, I just want to quickly jump in because I don't want to miss the very interesting point you raised about Afghanistan. It looks like we did make that mistake with Libya, and that, I mean, look at how it turned out for the Sahel. But what should we be doing now if we are to be proactive, looking at the situation in Afghanistan?
First off, bilateral platforms between us and perhaps even Afghanistan. We need to decide that. Do we want to recognize that government? What does our foreign policy priorities say regarding the recognition or not recognition of the new Taliban government? Then bilateral platforms between us and the United States. Remember, it's the United States that the actions of the United States that led to that. So what have we done in terms of our engagement with the United States? Then more importantly, multilateral platforms, our relationship with the ECOWAS countries, our relationship with the AU countries. What are we going to decide as a unit, as continentally and sub-regionally on that issue? So those are the kind of things I'm hoping that would start advancing a conversation. Like I said, Mr. President has published an article on Financial Times. It has indicated clearly what his government is thinking regarding that. So global terrorism, how do we approach this development in Afghanistan with regards to global terrorism? How is it going to impact the issues in the Lake Chad Basin, the activities of Jamaat al-Ahli al-Dawat wal-Jihad, the activities of the Islamic State in West Africa province? So we need to move very, very fast. Otherwise,
and I'm sure that we'll have a lot to discuss when that after that meeting tomorrow. Thank you so much for always helping us understand these issues. Security expert Kabir Adamu.
My pleasure. I'm sorry I'm at a conference. The background noise is coming from the conference. My apologies.
It's fine.